Welcome back to the Reality Guys. I'm your host, Billy Blanks, joined as always by my co-host, Brian.
Hello, everybody.
And more importantly, special guest, Lydia Blair from Netflix's newest hit reality show, Million Dollar Secret. Lydia, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
We love the show. Obviously, we've gotten a chance to talk to some of your fellow castmates. Now, everyone, we're recording this after the season finale, so this will be full spoilers for the whole season where nothing's off limits. So if you haven't finished yet, bookmark us, go finish, come back. Lydia, right off the bat, I ask everybody this when we start the show. Were you a reality TV fan before you came on the show?
I was a fan of some reality TV. I had watched, like Survivor from the start and some of those kind of shows that I was a fan of. And then when I got cast for the show, I started binge watching all the reality shows where they vote people off. And a lot of them that I'd never heard of, but I watched everything from The Circle and House of Villains and
Nice.
then, of course, on House of Villains, I'd go, okay, what is this below deck thing? Oh, well, they don't vote people off there. I don't care about it. So I was watching everything where they would
I love
vote
that.
people off to try to figure out strategy.
Nice.
Listen,
Would
I've
you
been
since you said Survivor, do you like the current version of Survivor?
Did I what?
Do you watch Survivor right
Oh
now?
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a fan of Survivor,
You
but
still
I'm
like
not
it?
about to go sleep
Oh,
on the ground or
yeah,
starve.
definitely not.
No, no, no. I've always my people have said that to us all the time. Bill, go on. Brian and Ply. We're like, no, nothing without a bed. None of that
Yeah.
BS. I'm not camping for a reality
Mhm.
TV show.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not going to sleep on the ground, go naked, or starve, but I like to watch them.
Oh, definitely.
So
I can do it.
obviously,
I'm the armchair quarterback. I
Yeah.
can I can tell them everything they're doing wrong.
what made you want to apply, or what kind of led you to being cast on the show?
Well, it actually popped up on my Instagram feed.
Okay.
A little post popped up that said, try out for a contest for $1 million. And I thought, oh, $1 million. And I clicked the little autofill button and got an email and then another email and filled out some forms and then, Zoom calls. And it just kind of went from there. And when I got cast on it, I told one of my sisters about it. And she said, are you sure this isn't a scam? Because I said, I'm going to go be on this show and I'll be gone for a few weeks. And she really thought it was probably a scam. And then I said, well, they put me through, background check, criminal check, psychological evaluation. They got me a work permit in Canada and they're going to a lot of trouble to steal my identity. There got to be easier ways. And I'm over the age and weight limit for kidnapping, so I didn't think they were going to fly me to Canada to steal my kidney or anything. But that's how I got on, was just an Instagram feed.
You didn't think your barter value was that high. The ransom number couldn't be too high.
No, no, I'm too high maintenance. They would kick me out of the van within a mile.
I always said that. I said I'd be the first one they take out. I would annoy the hell out of them in the van. They would just
Yeah.
forget it. You know what? This dude's not worth it. Just be done with it. Um, obviously the show has finished. I thought were a great player. Honestly, you definitely did a good job with studying and kind of, I could tell you were there. You were looking out, trying to play the game. If you've seen the other interviews, I think you know where this is going, Lydia. I ask every person who comes on the show who unfortunately has not won the reality TV show in which we are talking to them about. Lydia, what went wrong for you?
Well, I started off thinking I was just going to play this sweet grandma character, and I just couldn't keep it up. Uh, after a while, people kind of figured out, well, there's a little bit more to her because I was strategizing from the start. I mean, I really concentrated on playing the game. And every night I was taking notes in my room and keeping my head in the game. And people started seeing that after a while. At first, both Say Young and I thought the show was going to be like an escape room. And because we all knew that it was a show about deception, but we didn't know, we were going to get clues. There'd be a secret millionaire and we would get clues as to who they were. So I thought it was like an escape room. And I'm kind of trying not to be too shifty eyed, making note of everything around me. Say Young was just picking up stuff and looking underneath it and being really obvious. But after a few days, I realized I couldn't hide who I was. I mean, from the start, and I don't know if I should tell you this, but from the get-go, I kind of felt a little bit on the outside. When everybody kind of broke off, we met each other, we kind of broke off and sat down, and nobody was really approaching me or inviting me to sit with them or anything. And I kind of thought, okay, I'm the oldest person here. I got to get them to bond with me somehow. So I actually went up to three of the other contestants and looked over at four of them that were sitting separately. And I said, can I sit with you guys? And they were like, sure. And I said, obviously, we weren't invited to the cool kid table over there, which is feeding on people's insecurities from childhood. And I needed to create a common enemy. And I made the comment to them, obviously, those four are in an alliance, and I wasn't invited into it, which of course implies neither were you. And it worked. They aligned with me. It was Say Young and Sam and Lauren. And so I kind of, from the get go, had to say, okay, let me figure out ways to get these people on my side. Otherwise, I'll be going home. And I planted some ideas about Harry in a couple people's ears and let them run with it. And it worked as well. So Harry went home and I didn't. I did get votes on the first night because some people told me afterwards they voted for me. And I kind of thought, why are you telling me this? But yeah, I couldn't keep it to hide my competitiveness and the way I was strategizing. I couldn't keep that hidden and play the sweet grandma role.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously were kind of, there was two things I think about when I think about your game. One, obviously you were a victim of honestly a good gameplay move by Sam to
Oh
take
yeah.
out an ally because it did not draw attention to her. But you had the best gameplay move in the game that never actually happened. When you tried to actually say, why do we need to vote Philip out if we already know he's the millionaire? Let's get rid of Sydney instead. That's a high level move. It's a high level proposal move. You were definitely up the right track. Unfortunately, everyone just wanted the low hanging fruit of getting the millionaire, but I'm gonna give you props. I mean, you really didn't do anything wrong. You just wrong place, wrong time, and
Yeah,
people didn't.
with Phil, I was trying to make the point too that if since we knew he was the millionaire, we could keep him from completing any of his agendas and getting extra power
Yep.
because we were already on to him, so we could just practically lock him in a room, just nobody let him complete any agendas and get out a stronger player.
Yep.
And it's, better to, deal with the devil you know.
Yep.
So it was kind of that idea of, and also Sydney was not in my alliance. And I knew she was a strong, charming person and she had a good chance of going far. So
Mhm.
yeah, I tried it. And then Kyle, right before we went into dinner, kind of let me know he wasn't on board with it. So I kind of told Corey, forget it. We're not going that route. It's not going to work. We don't have enough votes.
Could have been. Could have been.
Could have changed the show.
The whole trajectory would have changed for sure. Brian,
Mhm.
you go ahead.
Yeah. So after now that you've watched everything, what did you think of some of the challenges you missed, or like and the final four?
Oh, I think I would have done really good on the threading the needle challenge
Oh
since I know how to sew.
yeah.
But there were, I mean, looking back on it, of course, it's easy to, have hindsight, but I wish I would have gotten $1 million. But I've got to say, those challenges, like when Sam had to get people to say Justin Timberlake, everybody was saying, oh, Phil's challenge was so hard, getting people to scream. There were other ways he could have done it, sure, but it would have been harder to get three people to say Justin Timberlake than it would get to be two people to scream, in my book. So I thought some of those challenges were a lot harder than, I don't know, some of them if I could have done them. I'm glad I didn't have to eat anything yucky. So that was kind of good.
I've asked everybody about this, and you kind of brought up the clues. Do you think the clues were fair? Do you think the clues were too telling? What was your kind of impression while you were playing and now going back and watching it?
Um, No, I think they were pretty fair. Like I said, some of them were a lot harder, I guess, depending on who you were. Like the Justin Timberlake, getting three people to say Justin Timberlake would have been really tough. Um, the one, getting people to switch seats with you,
Yeah.
that Kara did, that was easier for Kara because of how she kind of decided where and when she would do that. Um, it would have been more obvious maybe for somebody else. But I thought they were all very interesting. There were some I liked better than others, but the throwing the song titles into normal conversation, that would have been probably pretty obvious for me, but Lauren just pulled it off with no problem. So I thought they were pretty interesting, all of them. But we had no idea going in. Um, that's one of the reasons we didn't want to tell too much about ourselves because you didn't want to tell somebody, oh, yeah, I play the piano. And then the clue is the
Mhm.
millionaire plays a musical instrument. Or, I went swimming with sharks last year and then there's a clue about the ocean. So everybody was really careful about what they were saying about themselves.
Makes sense. I think if it gets a second season now that people know how the show is, they're probably not going to say anything about themselves.
Oh yeah, I think they'll know what it is going in.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's not an escape room, and I was kind of also told in the application process, that it was sort of like the Clue game, the Clue board game,
Okay.
like oh
Yeah.
Colonel Mustard with the candlestick.
Mhm.
Well,
Good
it wasn't
movie
anything
too.
like that either. So now people know what it's about. So I think they might have to make some more interesting challenges. And they probably will tweak the game a little bit and give some incentives for voting out the millionaire.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because as I had tried to talk people into when Phil was the millionaire and was obviously going home, and he pointed it out at his elimination, my goal is to not send the millionaire home. My goal is to get to the end. And by keeping him in, it would have helped me get to the end.
Right.
This is one of my new favorite recurring questions, Lydia, and I know it's going to be a little leading. So I love asking about when you actually get eliminated and how you feel in the moment and how you feel later, and your elimination definitely was one of the more memorable ones. I believe during your elimination, I think you said Jamie was pretentious and shallow. So do you still feel that way? And in that moment, like what led you to feel that way? And I'm just curious, like where you stand now.
Well, at that dinner, I really thought that the millionaire was either Sydney or Jamie. I really thought it was. When we looked at who we thought were lying about their profession, I also thought Cara was lying about her profession. I did not think she was flipping hamburgers for a living. I mean, she is,
What a
you know,
story.
95 pounds soaking wet, cute as can be, perfect complexion. I thought there's no way that girl's standing over a fryer, but she really did. But I was convinced that Cara was lying, and I didn't care that she was lying about her profession because we were in alliance. But I thought the millionaire was either Sydney or Jamie. And I had decided going into that dinner that I was going to start stirring things up, that I
Yeah.
was kind of trying to fly below the radar. Now people had figured out that I was more clever than they thought at the beginning. And so I was going to try to stir things up. And I was going to say those things to Jamie after the dinner, thinking I was going to make it through. Um, and I meant what I said. Yeah, I kind of thought she had it coming because of how she treated Lauren when Lauren went home. I thought she crossed the line. And, you got to be able to take it if you dish it out. So I just kind
The
of told her
internet
what I
had your
thought.
back. I mean, Twitter during that elimination, people were there was a lot of support for you, you know. So I mean, again, it was an interesting dynamic. Now post the show, have you had are you have any interactions with Jamie? Has the relationship improved at all, or kind of where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked and we've done a Zoom call together, and all of us are in a group chat.
Yeah.
And so we are touching base on a regular basis. And Jamie is a strong woman, and I admire strong women. And she's got a strong sense of identity, and she's just taken it, with a grain of salt, like everything else out there. Everybody gets, people who say, "Oh, you did a fabulous job. We loved you on the show." And then you get haters too. So, I'm not for everybody. She's not for everybody. That's fine.
We wanted to know, we've asked everybody, what was your impression and interactions like with Peter?
I didn't have that much interaction with him. I when we first arrived, I thought, okay, I recognize him from something, but some of the other cast members knew who he was, and they kind of filled me in. but and they said, oh, he was the Tick. And I was like, one of those comic-y movies. I don't watch those. I don't know what that is. So I was just out of touch with that. But he did seem very funny, but I didn't have much interaction with him.
Okay. Yes, I think some people also said that we talked to Bill, like, oh, I had some interactions, and I think if you made it further, you obviously would have more interactions with him.
Yeah,
That's
it's been two camps, neither negative, but one where it's like 100% the best, and probably because maybe they had more interaction, and others just like nice guy, but just kind of just part of the function of the show. What was the house like? Everyone's been raving about the house. What was your experience like with the house itself?
Oh, it was gorgeous. I had my own room and bathroom and everything. The food was fantastic. We didn't get to finish all the meals. I know it looks like we did nothing but eat there, but I will tell you, every one of us lost weight while we were there. So as much as it looks like we're gaining weight, just eating constantly, but the chateau is beautiful. It had a boathouse and a little beach down on the water, helicopter pad. It was a vineyard that they used the vineyard as part of the maze in that hound chase thing. Um, so it had lots of places to go and talk and hang out. And I think you can rent it for about maybe $14,000 a night. I'd recommend it.
If you
still
have
not
it
out of
sit,
our budget.
you have it sitting around.
Yeah.
So, did you have a time limit on dinner meals? Is that like you said you
Well,
didn't finish any of
sometimes
your
we'd be
food?
in the middle of a meal or something, and then, the cameras would be rolling, we'd be talking, and then they'd say, okay, everybody, we need you to come outside. We're going to do
Oh,
or, they pulled you out throughout the day for the one-on-one interviews.
okay.
Um, and so, like the point when Phil screamed and
Yeah.
they were over with a group, and then Corey and I were talking, and we heard the scream, and Kyle was down doing his interview, and I think they cut to
Yeah.
him kind of going,
Yeah, I
what was
like
that?
that. That was good
So, I
editing.
mean, it was all, there were things going on all at the same time. And of course, I wanted to be everywhere at the same time. When they'd call me out for an interview, I thought, now I'm going to miss, and this is my chance to, bond with people, strategize with people, something. Because, I was kind of doing a little bit of negotiation and manipulating and anything I could to try to advance my game.
You can tell by the way you're talking about that stuff is that you definitely watch a lot of Survivor.
The what?
You
I'm
watch a
sorry.
lot of Survivor with like the way you're explaining. Like I wanted to talk to people. I didn't want to be like left alone because that's like a big thing in Survivor. You don't want to be by yourself because
That's
if you're
right.
not there, they're talking about you.
That's if you're, what is it they say? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yeah, right. So
That's
like
100% right.
you saying
100%.
all those things, and it's just like I'm like, yeah, she definitely like Survivor, just like all those interactions and comments.
Now that you've had you've dipped your toes in the water, would you do another reality TV show?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm retired. What else am I going to do besides play poker? Um, as long as I didn't have to starve, sleep on the ground, or go naked, yes, I would do. I'd do another show. Sure. It
No
was
survival.
fun.
There's no like,
I mean, it was stressful, but it really was fun.
is there any like poker reality TV shows that you could maybe apply
I
for?
don't think, I don't think there's been any poker reality shows, not that I know of.
Not that I know of
Because
either.
Harry told us there was a photography one. We didn't know about like that at all. Like I'd never heard about a photography show. So I would think there definitely could
Well,
be a
there
poker
are
show.
a couple of poker channels that run 24/7, and they have, uh, you know, always showing games and
Tournaments.
tournaments and things like
Yep.
that. So maybe those have run some documentaries
Mhm.
or reality type shows, but I don't know of them.
Yeah, they've
Have
probably done documentaries following some guys around. One's about tournaments, stuff like that, right? Probably a lot more like podcast, YouTube stuff, things like that,
Hmm.
talking about tournaments, players, which is really cool. Um, as far as the cast, right? I mean, you said you guys are still in a group chat together. You are still, staying in constant communication. Do you guys feel like during the game, or at least looking back now, Lydia, do you guys think that you guys were a little bit too open with one another about all the information, kind of putting it all out on the table, or did you like that dynamic of everything kind of, no pun intended, but the cards being on the table?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, we were sharing in the information because we figured, 12 heads are better than one.
Mm.
We needed, the goal was to get the millionaire out. Now, if I had been the millionaire and gotten the clue, it would have been a whole nother story. In fact, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you this or not, but when the first episode, when I got the clue and I came out, I told everyone that I had been given an advantage if I decided to keep the information to myself. I'd been offered an advantage and then I turned it down
Oh, I like
Mm,
that.
okay.
because I thought that might buy me some currency in the game, showing my honesty and trustworthiness that I had been offered an advantage and said no to it.
Great. They should have
Um,
included that.
so, like I said, after that first time, it also put suspicion on me because we came out and said the millionaire is one of these six people. And I think it was Phil said, yeah, it's one of those six or it's Lydia. She's lying. So I thought, oh, great. Now I've stuck my neck out. So the next challenge, the shooting challenge, I really didn't care if we won or not because I didn't want to go back in there and I didn't want to be the one to get the clue again. So a lot of it, it's easy to kind of, like I said, look in hindsight, but some of them, I don't know if I would have shared the information or not, depending on if people were my allies. I might have told the group as a whole one thing and then told my allies the truth. Um, I didn't get far enough to get that chance, but there were opportunities to do that if it would have benefited the person getting the clue.
Wish that happened because I would like to see how that would have like how the house would have handled that.
Yeah. Because if I had been offered some sort of advantage to keep the information to myself or to give them false information, I would have had to think that over.
Mhm.
But that never happened with anybody that I know of.
What did you think of the finale overall, the result, and even like the final challenge?
Oh, the final challenge was the needle threading challenge. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty fair. Um, I would have loved to have done that one, but I was very happy with the results. I loved that Carl won. I would have been happy for Sam or Corey to win too, but I was happy, very happy for Cara to win it. I thought she played her strategy of trying to convince Corey or trying to make him suspicious of her and then figuring out, reading him well enough to know that he probably switched their boxes. I mean, that was a big risk. She was going to have to take a risk somehow. And so she put the bait out there enough to him to try to influence what he did. But it was still just like in any game, it's the way the ball bounces. In poker, you can play a perfect game and still have bad cards or somebody that beats you with a worse hand out of luck. Um, so, there's always that element of luck in there. And it was skill and luck combined that helped her get her there. And I was happy for her.
I thought it
Totally
was a
agree.
perfect combination. We thought they landed the plane really well. Um, as we kind of get closing out here, what is your main takeaway from the show? If you kind of, if someone asks you about your experience, the show itself, like if you had really one big takeaway from it, your experience, like what would you say?
I thought it was exciting. It was thrilling. It was stressful. It was different. I mean, a lot of people have compared it to like traders or something, but these were 12 strangers. We knew nothing about each other. And we all knew it was a game of deception going in. So we all knew that people were holding something back or lying about something, or, we were all expecting a deception in there. So even though you might have had alliances or you might have created bonds in the beginning, you still couldn't be sure because it was a game of deception. And so it was, like I said, very stressful, but a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun to do.
I we're talking about everybody possibly getting back together. Would love to have you back on. Some of the other cast members do a little reunion. So, if you're game, we'd love to have you back on again once we get through the other individual cast interviews.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We
Cool.
haven't had any kind of reunion or anything like that, or a big, some of us have had watch parties. I've had a watch party and some people have had those kind of things, but we haven't had a big get together. And it would because, some people are more friendly, have bonded more than others, but I think it would be a lot of fun to watch. And
Cool.
now people wouldn't be hiding anything.
Right.
No.
Right.
There's nothing left to hide. Sam, being a cop, was the biggest shock to me in that whole game because she started off with saying, "Oh, my aura is telling me that, Lauren or something." And she said she had some crystals in her room and she was meditating over them and rocking. And if she'd have told me she was a fortune teller, I would have believed her more than if she said she was a cop. I mean, I thought she was so woo-woo and a little kooky, and she played that really well.
I
Yeah,
think
she did a good
everybody
job.
played their role pretty well. Lydia, you played your role awesomely. We really, really appreciate your time. If people want to find you, Lydia, where can they find you?
I'm Lydia Texas Grandma on Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Facebook, YouTube. It's Grandma does social media now, so I'm getting the hang of it.
We'll make sure we'll throw that out there in the video description. We'll make sure we're sharing this all on our socials. Lydia, again, thank you so much for your time. If you have not checked out Million Dollar Secret, go check it out on Netflix. The whole first season is now there. You can check out all of our reviews, our other cast interviews, and our future cast interviews. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button. But until next time, for myself and Brian, thank you so much as always. Peace.
Thank you.